Okay, I'm starting off by showing you here that I have the Bandit center band on the lathe, but I've put something between the ways so that it will catch whatever falls off of here, because this is the first couple of pieces particularly, you're going to drop as much as you get in. So we want to make sure that that all drops on here so that it's recyclable. So let's get down to the point where we can actually see what we're doing here. Okay, the best way to do this would be to start with the tweezers. I can't find a standard tweezer, so we're going to use this one. And I put some of the bigger stones into my tray, and then I'm going to take them out of the tray and move them up and put them onto that trough. So we'll get busy doing that in just a minute here. I'll try to get you as close as I can to the action. There we go. Okay, again, this is only so that we can turn it with the hand wheel. We are not going to be running the lathe. But what I find works best for me is to just get a little drop of CA glue in that trough. Now you may want to paint the trough black first. I've done both. I prefer it when it is not painted, but there are people who prefer it painted. So like everything else, we are now making this part available as a individual piece, so you can experiment a little and not have to buy a whole bunch of Bandit kits. Okay, then I'm going to take one piece of this larger and I'm going to get it into that trough like that. Okay, so now I have one piece in, and that is take your accelerator, give it a very quick spurt so that it doesn't move, and believe it or not, you've done the hardest part. From here on, it gets significantly easier. You can put in large pieces or the powder. I find that I believe that kind of a little of each is nice. The difficulty with all this stuff is that it's so fine, and you got to try to figure out a way to pour it without getting it all over everything. So that's why that piece between the ways is pretty important, because you really are likely to spill a fair amount of this stuff, and there's no point in putting it in so that it can't be used again. So you want it to fall someplace where you can use it again. Okay, so I have some in there, and I'm going to take some of the CA glue and drip it in there kind of carefully. Remember, you're going to be turning this there we go, it's starting to catch. Same thing here, just like that. If you want to get your finger in there or some kind of a device so that you can smooth it out, you're welcome to do that. But you can see, well, I can see, I don't know that you can see, I can see that I have not gotten all the way down to the bottom there. So I can take some additional pieces and just drop them on. And again, as your tweezers starts to get CA on it, it becomes less useful to you. So you got to kind of be careful. We ought to be able to press that down with one of these little bags, because the bags won't attach to the CA glue. So you can kind of move that around with the baggie, and you won't have to worry about it being permanently adhered or losing your pieces. But that's all there is to it. It's just a matter of having some patience and inserting your pieces a couple at a time. You can make this as detailed as you want to. One of the people who has done this already sent me a note and said, you know, you can do 2 colors. So that's particularly for people who have done rings. You know, this is second nature to them. It's relatively new to me. So, yes, I can do it. No, I don't do it in record speed. But when you're done, you do have a pen that has something that is uniquely yours. Most of what we do has the same center bands or the same finials. Essentially, we can change the material that we're using for the body, but we can't do a whole heck of a lot about anything else. So I think this gives you some additional latitude. Now, this way of doing it is more labor intensive than some of the other things you can do. A lot of the guys are putting different kinds of tape in there and coming up with different kinds of designs. As I say, there's a lot of things that can be done. We're just scratching the surface here. When I started this idea, my concept was that we could take the things that we were using for rings, which is this gemstone, and translate it into pens. Now, as I've seen and heard more people talk about it, I realize that that's one of the things that can be done. A lot of other things can be done too. And again, it depends on how finicky you are. If you want to make sure everything is just so, then it'll take a little longer, but you'll have a result that you like. If you do it the faster way, you still may very well get results that you like. I have, but all depends on how much time and effort you want to put into it and what you want it to look like when you're done. One of the things that you may want to use, this little doohickey here goes on to your CA container, and it will give you more precision as you're trying to add your CA to the channel. There is a certain learning experience here, I will tell you that. I've done a couple of them, and they are easier the more you make. After you've done a couple, they become simpler than they were for the first couple. Again, when you squirt it, make sure you squirt it from far enough away that you don't turn the CA white. Doesn't matter though, when you turn it off it'll be fine. Put in some of these larger pieces. First of all, it'll fill the gap better, and secondly, it's pretty. Maybe that should have been firstly. Now you know you've got CA there, so you don't have to worry about the pieces sticking. You can see where the CA is, so as you're looking at this, you probably can't. But when I'm looking at it, I can see, okay, I've got some CA in there, and I've got some stones in there. I should fill in a little bit with some of the dust. So we will take some of the dust and fill in with it. And I'm not hitting 100%, as you may have been able to tell, but what's not hitting is going down onto the piece that I have between the ways, so it's not lost. It will be available to me. Okay, so I don't want to make a 2-hour video, so I will stop the camera now and I'll finish this up off camera, and then we'll show you what to do next.